right, eggheads, let's keep this party bus going on a Saturday. We have some great chefs and amazing demos coming up. We have Lagunitas Brewery coming out of the West Coast, and we have Steven Reichland from Project Fire. But before that, without further ado, Mr. Nick Leahy, come on down, Nick. Come on down. How you doing, Chef?
Good, man. How are you? Good to see you.
Great, my friend. I see this beautiful cornucopia of seafood. So, Chef, talk to me. Tell me and the people at home, what is the inspiration for today's dish or dishes, and how it all ties to grilling and smoking?
Well, I think one of the most underrated things about the egg is the versatility of the egg, right?
I agree.
So everybody learns the first thing they throw in an egg is a pork butt or ribs or brisket or anything, and they're delicious. But I think people forget how good it is at cooking vegetables, at cooking seafood, at doing all those kind of things, and how you can make your entire meal, not just the protein on the egg. So that's kind of what I wanted to show off today. And Provençal food, we cook Provençal French food. That's where my family's from in France at the restaurant. It's all about taking really good ingredients, treating them simply, and making them shine. So that's what we're going to do today, 2 different dishes, all on the egg.
I absolutely love it. I see you got mussels for the mussels, so I will leave you to it, Chef.
He's got more muscles, but
Yeah. I'll be back.
All right, so the first dish, I love doing shellfish on the egg. One of the really nice things about them is it's so quick cooking. You can make an appetizer and then do the rest of the meal on the egg as well. The other nice thing is people don't realize how well liquid picks up the smoke inside an egg. So one of the nice things is as we put the beer and the butter and everything in there, it really picks up a lot of the flavor. It's not just the mussels that are doing it. But we're going to start off by trying to build a little bit of depth of flavor. So we've got our egg at about 400 direct heat. We're just going to take some beautiful bacon and we're going to lay it right on there. Just get some nice grill marks and char on there. This is going to go into the pot next, but I want to get some of that grill flavor built up on it first. And then also same thing with some of these little cambray onions. Just going to put them directly on there and get a little char going on them. And then it is French cooking, so you know, as Julia Child says, butter makes it better. This is a beautiful local butter. You know, getting a good quality butter is important. You know, just a little spoonful like that right in there. Give it a swirl around. We got our Dutch oven in here for about 10 minutes ahead of starting, just so it gets nice and hot. We're not waiting for it to heat up. And then the next thing we're going to go in with, I have some chile caribe. You could use any hot pepper, kind of make it fit whatever your heat profile is. So, you know, if you wanted to go serrano, jalapeno, you can go habanero if you want. I just sliced them nice and thinly. I didn't take out the seeds because I like the heat, but again, that's a personal choice. We're going to put those in there. Start them caramelizing because we want to actually caramelize some of those natural sugars because then you'll sort of get the sweetness of the pepper as well as the heat. And then we're going to go in there with this total is about 6 cloves of garlic. We're going to use half for this recipe, so 3 cloves. Very exact measurement, you can tell there. And you can see we've got a nice little sizzle going. And you can take the bacon now that it's starting to render a little bit and just sort of brush it along those onions. Some of that bacon fat will render down into the onion and get them cooking nicely too. Okay, now let's talk about the mussels. These are just some PEI mussels, nice small sweet ones. I like them smaller. I think they're more tender. I think they have more natural sweetness, but again, up to you. Let me find one that has a beard on it so I can show you what to look for. I guess thankfully these are pretty clean ones because beards kind of a lot of work. I'll find one somewhere in here. Okay, so you always want to de-beard your mussel. I don't know if you can zoom in and get a close-up of that, but that's the little thing that they attach themselves to the ropes with. You just want to make sure you pull it out. A lot of times it has grit, dirt, stuff like that on it. And then take your mussels, give them a little sprinkle of salt, and just run them under cold water for about 10 minutes. That just helps purge the mussels, gets any little bits of sand, grit, anything like that out of there. So now our garlic has started to caramelize a little bit, and so have our peppers. Our bacon's starting to get a nice sizzle on it. And the onions are starting to get a little bit of a char too. So now we're just going to go in to the pot with our mussels and just give them a good stir around so they get a nice coating of that fat in there. And now we're going to add just a tiny bit of salt. You want to kind of season in stages. It'll actually help get your seasoning throughout the dish. You'll end up using less salt that way. Pull that out, you can give it a nice stir. Now we're just going to lay the bacon right on top of those onions so that fat just sort of gets in there. Now the next most important ingredient, we're going to start off with the beer. I like to use any lager style beer for this, so you don't want to use an IPA because you don't really want that hop forward element that'll start sort of fighting with the mussels. You want the shellfish to still shine through. The beer just gives it some nice body. And we're really just making the broth with this beer and the mussels, the juice that they're giving out themselves. So. Old cook trick there, opening a beer with tongs. And you want to buy a big enough beer so that there's enough for the mussels and some for the person cooking. You know, you got to stay hydrated during these things. So you're going to use about 10 ounces. And then these guys all have a nice little mark on them, so we're just going to pull them off. And just do a rough chop. You don't have to be too fine with it. Provençal cooking is kind of like the rustic country cooking of France. This isn't like the highfalutin Parisian grand cuisine stuff. It's really more about good ingredients and sharing them with good friends and stuff like that. So all that into the pot. One more little stir just so that bacon gets mixed in with the onions and the chilies and everything like that. Oh, one bacon was trying to make a run for it there. I always say this recipe is kind of cheating because you're using the 3 great B's of cooking: beer, butter, and bacon all in one. But that's the reason why it's so delicious. So, and then we're just going to pop that closed, let those mussels sit there and steam. It'll take maybe 5 minutes and they'll be ready to go. And I'm going to get reset here so we can start cooking our other dish at the same time. All right, so I've got everything reset so we can start doing our next dish, which is going to be a wrapped cod with piperade, which is just a really nice mix of summer vegetables, but I'll talk about that in just a second. I like this technique because it takes a fish like a cod or any kind of leaner fish that still has some meatiness to it, like a halibut or something like that, and it just gives it that extra fat that it's missing, protects it from getting dried out on the grill. So the first one I wrapped with pancetta, and this one that I'm showing you the technique with, I'm wrapping with bacon. You can do prosciutto. I just wanted to sort of show you the versatility of it. But lay out your bacon, or pork of choice, I suppose, in a nice tile so that there's no gaps, and then just fold the first line over, and then use the plastic wrap to come and complete the job. Tuck it in. And again, and then bring the plastic wrap really nice and tight. And then just take it, push it in, and you want to just sort of twist these ends off. This makes the bacon, pancetta, prosciutto, whatever you're using, just sort of adhere and tighten around the fish, gives it less chance of slipping off for you. I don't put bacon in every fish dish I cook, I promise, just today. And then you want to let that set for about 15 minutes in the fridge. But through the beauty of prior prepping, I did that with this one. So you can see this one's got the pancetta on it, slightly different from the bacon, a little lighter, a little crisper, it'll be a little bit more delicate. You want to take it, just give it a quick little rub of butter. That way we'll just prevent any sticking that can happen. We've got this egg right about 400. And we're just going to take our fish and go directly onto the grill. No need to salt the fish here because you're going to get enough salt from whatever pork product you're using there. Okay, now we'll start building the vegetable portion. So The first thing we're going to do, just some yellow onion, sliced nice and thick so it'll stand up on the grill. And we're just going to start marking that. We have our Dutch oven on here getting hot, so that as these vegetables pick up their marks and everything, we can start putting them in there to start building it'll form the sauce of the dish as well. And just some nice Roma tomatoes sliced in half. Going to put those face side down on there. And when we flip these over, we'll salt them. You don't want to salt them ahead of time because that'll start drawing the water content out, and that way instead of getting nice, dark, intense grill marks, they'll sort of sweat and steam on there instead. And then we also have some peppers, so that's the base of a pepperod. We have just some bells and a little poblano for some heat. Again, you can make it with whatever kind of peppers you desire. And then just come back with your butter. Just give a little dollop on top of each onion. Start it going. And now we'll start the rest in our Dutch oven. So again, butter in first. And now what we have here is harissa. French cuisine is not known for its international influences so much. You know, in the north of France, they kind of think French ingredients and French ways are the only way to do it. As you get down into the south of France, it becomes much more open-minded. You see a lot more international influence because there's been so many people traveling through there from ancient trade routes and all kind of stuff like that. So you start seeing Mediterranean, Greek, North African, Middle Eastern influences, which makes it a more interesting cuisine to cook, in my opinion. So we've got a little bit of harissa, which is just kind of a chili tomato paste from North Africa. We're going to add that to our butter and just give it a nice stir around. And that's going to start forming the basis of our vegetables. It's really nice and fragrant. Has a little bit of spice, but nothing overpowering. And then we're also going to add just a little bit of za'atar, which is Lebanese mix of sesame, oregano. Again, just nice and aromatic. We're just going to let these spices toast off in that butter to get everything going. All right, our veggies have been on there for about 5 or 6 minutes. You can see our peppers have started to pick up a little bit of a char. That's really all we're looking for. We're going to finish cooking them in the Dutch oven there. So we can start pulling those off. Good char on that one, there we go. Our onions have picked up a little bit of a mark too. And our tomatoes as well. And we're just going to take our fish, very gently flip it over, so we can start rendering the other side of that fat as well. And now what we want to do is just chop our vegetables down so that they're a little easier to eat. You know, if we cut them all first, it'd be hard to get any of the marks on them and they'd be falling through the grill. So that's why we mark them while they're nice and big. And the tomatoes just cut in half. The tomatoes are going to really break down in that spice mix, and they're going to kind of become the basis of the sauce for the portion of the pepperod. So here we go. Just start dropping them in there. You can really smell those spices that we have toasting in that butter getting going there. And then for the peppers, we just want to julienne them. And I like having the mix of a couple peppers with a little bit of heat, but you want to have mostly sweet peppers in your mix for this. Just give that a good stir. And then we're just going to close that down and let it finish off. Now it's time to check on our mussels. They should be ready by now. And you can see our mussels have all opened up nicely. You can see the beer is cooked down a little bit. So now we're just going to finish it off with a nice healthy dollop of butter. And then you can't have seafood with broth without some kind of bread. Or you could, but it wouldn't be very French. So just a quick little butter smear on there. Because let's face it, one of the best parts of this recipe is dipping the bread into the bacon, butter, beer broth there, combined with all those mussel juices and everything like that. So there we go. And there we are. I'm just going to eat it straight out of the Dutch oven. You can be fancy and put it on a plate if you want. And my favorite part about mussels, just get in there, pop one open, and use nature's spoon to get in there and get the broth. So it's delicious. All right, we're going to check on our fish and vegetables. I think they should all be done now. And I am correct. You can get in there and see the tomatoes have really broken down with those spices and formed a really nice sort of base for the vegetables here. Everything's nice and soft and tender. Our bacon on our fish is rendered out nicely. So we're going to go ahead and get it on the plate and get eating. That smells great with that harissa and the za'atar and all those vegetables. Barely even need the fish. And then I'm just going to garnish it to make it a little bit pretty. You have a lot of sweet, kind of spicy flavors going on there, so I just want to add a little bit of watermelon radish, shaved nice and thin. Gives it a nice sort of crunch and a little fresh peppery bite in there. And then just to keep that flavor going, some radish sprouts. Just again, make the dish taste kind of nice and fresh right at the end. And again, they have a nice sort of like peppery little pop to them. All right, so we've got our mussels with the 3 B's, the beer, the bacon, and the butter, or the 4 B's actually, since we got bread in there too, tasting delicious, smoky, a little bit spicy. And then we've got our bacon-wrapped cod with the smoked pipperod, with the za'atar and the harissa, just really smelling great. David, come on, man, let's eat.
Oh yes, oh yeah. Did I hear somebody say beer, butter, and bacon?
You did.
Sir,
the 3 B's.
We just became best friends. I really think so. So to that, I give you that, sir. All right.
I guess we should have cheers, actually.
Cheers, cheers. All right, you drink, I eat. That's fine by me. Okay, so let me dig in here. What should I start with first, Chef?
Go mussels first.
Mussels, okay, let's dig in here. Oh man, it smells amazing. I wish you guys had smell-o-vision at home. Oh yeah, thank you. Gotta get that sauce.
That's the key right there.
Thank you, Chef. Definitely getting that beer, that little spice, a little right in the back of my neck. I'm loving that tickle of heat.
That's why I like the Caribes. There's a little heat, not crazy though.
Exactly, and you gotta have a nice toasted bread to sop up all that delicious liquid. So good. Oh my God, all right.
Nice, man.
And what do we have here, Chef, again?
So this is the bacon-wrapped cod with smoked pipperod. We have the harissa and the za'atar on there, so some of those nice sort of warming North African spices in there, kind of bring it all together.
I'm sensing a theme. You love pork.
I do love me some pork.
And to that, I applaud you, sir.
You take the boy out of Georgia, but not the Georgia out of the boy, right?
That's a true story. All right, so we're digging right here. Oh, that flaky fish right there. Guys, do you see that? It's literally falling apart. Oh, seafood, eat food.
I'm gonna get in there too. It smells too good. I mean, there's a second fork. There's plenty there.
There's enough. I'll allow it. Chef, that is delicious. That's amazing. Oh my God.
Thank you, man.
That's good. You did that. 2 for 2. We're batting 100 today, guys. I don't know, Chef. Thank you so much. You're a rock star, Chef. You're killing it. Guys, please, please, please make sure to stick around. At the top of the hour, we're going to Lagunitas Brewery out on the West Coast, and then we're going to Baltimore, Maryland with Steven Reichland on the set of Project Fire. But don't go too far at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're shooting it over to the original Egghead, the founder, the creator, the godfather, Ed Fisher, with the worldwide premiere of the World of Eggtoberfest. So stay tuned, guys. It's gonna be great.